Hello, hello, hello again. I'm Bud Churchward, and we've been listening and watching various presentations during the February Mount Baker Amateur Radio Club's digital group meeting on Zoom. And in this video, we're going to hear from Steve Magnuson, AG7GN. Steve's done a fabulous job in making the user interface for our Nexus DR-X running on a Raspberry Pi, easy to operate. It's great for us Linux challenged ham radio operators, and seasoned Linux users appreciate the ease that he provides with these tools. In this video, he is telling us about something new that he's added to the backup routine. Imagine this. You could back up your entire Raspberry Pi image, the entire Nexus DR-X image, onto a thumb drive and use it to restore your station. You're going to enjoy this.
Present here. Let's see. The first thing is a couple of enhancements I made to the Nexus image. The first enhancement I can just speak about is that the backup script that has been part of Nexus for quite some time, that backs up your home folder, now also backs up your cron tab. For those of you who use cron, for those of you who don't know what that is, cron tab is a feature that's on Linux systems that allows you to put certain tasks that you want executed unattended periodically. So you can tell it what frequency you want to run this script or that program, and it'll run automatically in the background and take care of whatever things you want to do. So previously, cron tab was not backed up. So when you went to a new version of the Nexus image and you restored your home folder, you found that your cron tab was missing. Well, the new version takes care of that. Now it'll automatically back up your cron tab and then restore it when you restore your home folder. And then related to that, I added another kind of backup that I thought would be useful. Actually, Andy, KF7VOL, asked for this feature. And let me share my screen here. So under preferences, or I'm sorry, under accessories, there's this command called the SD card copier. This comes with the Raspberry Pi image. But underneath it, I've added another one called SD compressed backup. And if you click on this, you'll be prompted to select the backup destination. And on this particular Raspberry Pi, I've inserted a USB stick, 64 gigabyte USB stick. So I'm going to select that here and then hit OK. And then I click Start, and it will back up the entire SD card to your USB stick. It will compress it. It will be an image roughly half the size of the SD card, maybe smaller depending on how much stuff you have on your SD card. And you can put this in a cron job in cron tab and execute it periodically. So you always have a backup of your current image. And so on a 16 gigabyte card, if I were to click Start here, it will take a little over an hour to back up the entire 16 gigabyte card and compress it to a USB attached USB stick. This is on a Raspberry Pi 4 with the USB stick plugged into a USB 3 port. On a Pi 3, it may be a little lower, although not much, or a little slower, although not much slower. I've found that the compressing is actually the thing that's taking the time on the Raspberry Pi. If you have a 32 gigabyte card and you back it up, it will take about an hour and a half. And then you can take this USB stick, put it in a Mac or a Windows PC, And you can use the etcher program from Balena, the Balena etcher program. Select the zipped file as the source, and then burn it to a new SD card. So there's no need to uncompress the compressed file that this script compresses here, or that the script creates here. Andy asked for this at some of the sites that are unattended, so that he could have a USB stick that always had a current image. So if there was some catastrophe that happened, he could go up to the site, pull the USB card or the USB stick out of the Raspberry Pi and burn a new image that's maybe a day or only a week old. So that was the impetus for making this particular script. This is available in the updater. If you run the Nexus updater and you select the right here, Nexus Backup Restore, you'll get the latest version of the home folder backup script, as well as the script that I just demonstrated. They're both in this particular package. So that's how to get the latest one there. And as always, you can just click on the information or the description here, and a browser window will come up that will direct you to my GitHub site with information about some background, more specific information about each of these scripts and how to use them.
Question, Steve?
Yep.
So when we run Balena Etcher and we're burning a new image, it puts the image on the card and then it verifies it. Does your
Yep.
routine verify that the backup is correct, or do we assume it is?
It does not verify that the backup is correct. No. I've used it. I thought about putting that feature in there, but I've used it. I lost count now. Maybe 36 times now under different conditions, and it's worked every single time. And it does take considerably longer to back up. Now, if you're running it as a cron job, you probably can use it. It probably wouldn't matter. But if that's a feature that people want, I could probably put that in there.
Quick question: are you compressing that in progress, or are you grabbing everything, then compressing it, and then writing it?
Compressing it on the fly.
Okay.
Yep.
I've seen that done before. One of the network imagers that I used to use did that. They compressed it on the hard drive image on the computer, sent it over the network. So instead of sending 20 gigs worth of data, it would compress it down to like maybe 5 gigs or 10 gigs. So
Exactly, yes. And I do have another script that I have not published that I use in exactly that way. I do an SFTP connection, or actually it's a compressed piped into an SSH session to another Raspberry Pi, and then I back up the image of that remote Raspberry Pi to a Linux server here at the house, and that takes about an hour as well. I run that once a month on 5 different Raspberry Pis, 2 of which are in my house and 3 of which are in remote locations. And it works pretty well. I've had good luck with those. Had to use them twice in order to restore an image, so it was well worth the time to create that script, which I can share. If somebody wants to do a remote backup in that way, let me know. Drop me an email and I'll point you to the script.
And Steve, are these the file names sequential, so that if you set up a cron job to do this at 2 a.m. in the morning every day or so, it doesn't override a previous one?
That's correct. Yeah, there's a timestamp that's built into the file name. I described that here somewhere.
And if there's no room, it just fails, right?
Yes, it checks to make sure that there's room, and if there isn't, then it will fail. There is a way to, and I show this example here in the cron job. First, it checks for the existence of your USB stick, and then it looks for old images that you've backed up before, and you can tell it delete any old backups. In this example, anything over 14 days old, delete it before starting the backup here. So that's just an example of one way to do it if you want to back it up via cron. Any other questions?
Well, that one's really cool. That's fabulous.
Yeah, good. I hope it will be useful. I know that we're going to be Andy's going to be deploying it at least 3 or 4 sites, remote sites for this purpose. So